Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about transit Pluto conjunct one's natal Chiron. Now, when we're talking about transits that involve Pluto, they could be about transformation, power, obsession, fixation, and control. When transit Pluto conjoins one's natal Chiron, could be about the transformation, power, obsession, control, and even destruction or obliteration of one's emotional and physical wounds. This could actually be an auspicious transit. I know it sounds kind of foreboding. You're talking about Pluto, that morbid planet, that planet of death, and then you have Chiron, which is emotional and physical wounds and suffering. But it's also can be an opportunity, I would think, to destroy or obliterate the physical wounds or even like more the emotional wounds even that you might be going through at this time and gain more power and control over them. Now, and also Chiron again is connected with suffering, so it could be about gaining power over that suffering that you have. Don't let the suffering dictate your course of action, what you're going to do, but rather try, maybe a little bit harder to gain that power and eradicate uh, the suffering. I have my natal Chiron is in the 12th house in Aries. I will not experience, doubt very much I'll experience that transit in my lifetime because Pluto is in Capricorn now. We understand how long it takes, Pluto to traverse all 12 zodiac signs. A lot of you won't even have this transit, so it makes it's a very significant transit if you happen to experience it. But going back to my placement, if I was actually able to have this transit, it could be an opportunity for me to destroy and obliterate some suffering maybe I've gone through perhaps lack of aggression or assertiveness, and even inability perhaps to confront. Aries' confrontational energy by hidden adversaries. The 12th house, of course, is associated with hidden adversaries. It's also the house of self-undoing and secret sorrows. You could understand that could actually be a good transit for you if I was actually able to experience it, but I doubt I will. The thing about it too is Chiron could also be about trauma, of course, because it's not just emotional wounds; it could be physical wounds. Sometimes this could be very destructive. It's very careful if you're, say, if you have this like in Gemini or it's in the third house, to be careful when driving at this time because Pluto is connected with death. It's also destruction. Chiron can be connected with wounds. The third house, of course, associated with short journeys, and I would say even driving as well in vehicles. So it's a time to where you really gotta understand how this could manifest and whether it's gonna manifest more positively or negatively. A lot of it could be predicated and dependent on the aspects that it makes to other points in your natal charts. Remember that conjunctions they're neutral. They could be good and they could be bad. They could have qualities of both when you have this transit. Now, and also to Chiron, I would say could be connected with that that ineptitude we have in ourselves, or what we think that we lack. Remember, Chiron is associated with wounds. It can be something where we feel maybe there's some hole in our life. I think it's similar to the black moon love, I would say, as far as that goes. And this is something, um, this is a time too where you know Pluto is very secretive energy as well. So say if you have this in Aquarius, it could be a time where if you feel you have Chiron in Aquarius and you had this transit where if there's some kind of lack or ineptitude you feel in your innovative prowess or ability perhaps to make friends uh, with people or group, some kind of group involvement, it might be something that you're trying to keep more under wraps, more so than usual at this time. And the thing about this too is, or it could be some bizarre idiosyncratic behavior that you might have exhibited that you had to face some repercussions for. That could be as something where you may want you to be trying more to keep under wraps more so than usual. Chiron could also be connected with diminished self-esteem or self-worth and how you feel about yourself. So this could also be a time where you may be trying to gain some power and control over it, or there might be some maybe fixation or obsession with trying to do something about this at this time as well. And Chiron is also associated with that pain that runs really deep. And say, I mean, if you have this in Capricorn, it could be over, some restriction or limitation in your life. I mean, say if it's in the fourth house, it could be over a limitation or restricted home environment, or maybe just coldness that you might be experiencing from your home or family members, people you're close to home with. It could be very people that in your home life that might be very undemonstrative, cold, or callous, but at the same time, this is also Chiron could be associated with helping and healing. Remember that Chiron is the wounded healer. It could Chiron is associated with things that we might be inept at, but we could help others in that same area that we experience weakness in. So the thing is, it could be a time where we might we feel like it could give power to helping and healing those at this time. Say if it's in Pisces, it could be through some spiritual healing or through meditation. It could be something as well when we look at this as well. I mean, Chiron again could be connected. I mean, with where we feel inept at, it could be associated with weakness. If you have this, say if it's in Taurus or the second house, it could be over some kind of maybe a financial acumen or ability to stay calm or composed. If you have it, say in Taurus in the eighth house, and this were to happen, this could be about perhaps it could be some obliteration or destruction of maybe an inability to stay calm or composed in a crisis, which could actually, of course, be good because it might give you more of the ability to actually be able to express that energy in a crisis and stay unflappable in a crisis situation. Again, if that transit was in Taurus in the eighth house, as an example. Now, it could be a time, another way this can manifest and pan out, you might be very fixated on helping and healing others. Say, for example, if this falls in Capricorn in your fourth house in your natal chart, it could be helping somebody with a rather depressing or restricting or limiting type of home environment or family situation. And also, too, this could be about a time where, I mean, Pluto is associated with deep research. So, and it could be expressed in deep research and understanding, maybe some kind of emotional pain that you may have experienced. And going back to the Aries in the 12th house example, well, it could be through maybe some emotional suffering through the lack of an ability to express fortitude and courage, which of course can be associated with Aries, or even confronting. Aries is about combat, confrontation, hidden adversaries, which of course is associated with the 12th house in astrology. Now, it could also be a time too for some where it could be an opportunity to eradicate suffering connected with issues with diminished self-worth, self-esteem, and how you may feel about yourself. Say, for example, if this falls in Aquarius in your ninth house, it could be where maybe you felt you were chastised or persecuted for having unorthodox philosophy or religion, or your philosophy might have centered around astrology, and you had people in your life that may have condemned you. For this, I had at least one family member that had condemned me for my belief in astrology. I don't have that transit, but you can understand how that could, how this could be, transit in that example that I showed you can be expressed and how it may manifest. So, anyway. Now, in isolated cases, it could be expressed in Pluto-related physical issues and wounds and suffering. It could be something with the bladder or the colon or the prostate or reproductive system. Uh, Hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that, I'm back. But anyway, and also keep in mind Pluto is associated with surgery. So in some cases, it could be about surgery that may be associated with the Chiron placement. I would say, especially if this falls in the first or sixth house in your natal chart, the first house associated with the physical body, the sixth house can be connected with physical health related issues and physical debilitations. Say if it falls in Gemini, it could be something with the arm, the hand, it could be carpal tunnel syndrome, something with the shoulders or the lungs or even the nerves. Now, another thing too is that it could also be where you might feel some ineptitude in something Pluto related. It could be something where an ability to deal with a crisis or maybe a death even, or maybe there's some inability, you feel a need to make a major change or transformation in your life. Say if it's in the seventh house, it could be over a marriage partner or a significant other, um, maybe a business partnership. It could be a shared resources situation, or even as far as ineptitude goes. I mean, Pluto can also be connected with support. It could be moral, emotional, monetary support, the support we may receive and even give others. And there might be some feeling of lack in that area in our life, whether it may be through the lack of support that you might be receiving, or what you're able to give. And also remember that Pluto is also associated with power and control. So it might be some issue where you might feel inept over gaining power of something in your life, or being able to control certain situations. Say if it's in the fifth house, it may be matters with children, or a lover, or even a life, a part of your life perhaps that's connected with your ability to have fun, amusement, and enjoyment. It could be sports or what have you. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying, stay well.